Hi, this is Mark Sarazano from the International Piano Technician School, and I want to talk about why you can't tune a clean unison. You may have had this experience where you're tuning unisons, they sound clean, and all of a sudden you come up against a piano and you can't tune this unison. You don't know why. Well, the reason might be mismatched inharmonicity. How to know if your strings are mismatched. So what is a pure unison? Well, we know that it's two strings that have the same partial frequencies such that there's no beating at any of the partials. Now an out-of-tune unison would be like this, where we can see the first partial at 440 Hz, and then the second partial you simply multiply by 2 and get 880. For the third partial, you just simply multiply by 3, 1320, fourth partial, 1760. This is just a simple theory of harmonic frequencies. Now the second string, what if it's at 441 Hz? The second partial will be beating at 882 Hz, and the third partial, 1323, the fourth partial, 1764. When we take the difference of each of those partials, we find that the first partial beats at 1 beat per second, second partial is beating at 2 beats per second, third partial beating at 3 beats per second, fourth partial beating at 4 beats per second, and this is standard. This is how out-of-tune unisons beat. And what we notice when we have an out-of-tune unison is that the higher partials beat increasingly faster, which is the reason why we listen to the higher partials and try to get them beatless when we're trying to tune clean unisons. But what happens when we have strings that are mismatched, strings that have a different inharmonicity? You can have something like this happening. Now you can't tune this unison clean. You might be able to get one of the partials beatless, but the other ones are beating. And then when you try to fix it, you end up with something like this. You can't get rid of the beats in all the partials at the same time. The one thing to notice about each of these situations is that you always have a lower partial beating faster than a higher partial, when the higher partials are supposed to beat faster than the lower partials. When you have this situation, when you have lower partials beating faster than higher partials, that's a clue that you may have strings with mismatched inharmonicity. Listen to this D-sharp 3 bichord. This student could not get it to sound clean. We postulated that the strings may have a different inharmonicity. After measuring them, we found that they were different by 13.5 thousandths of an inch. Listen to the first partial not beating. Now listen to the second partial beating a little bit. That's not a big deal. Now the third partial is beating a bit slower, which is curious. And now we find a beatless fourth partial. The fifth partial is beating a bit slow. And now we have the sixth partial beatless, another beatless partial. That makes two partials that have lower partials beating faster than them. The best solution to this problem is to replace the strings. A cheaper solution can be to mute off one of the strings. You may also choose to ignore it if it does not bother your customer. This has been a video by the International Piano Technician School, online piano technician training. Visit ipts.online.